How can a roofing company differentiate itself in a crowded market through branding and marketing?
Johnny, you want to jump in a little bit on that one?
Yeah, I can jump in here. Scott and I have kind of gone back and forth on this, and with the rebrand that we did for Rain Stoppers, we obviously accounted for this. Uh, the biggest thing here is consistency across all touch points with the clients. If you look at all of the elements that touch the customer, whether it's a door hanger, a billboard, the proposal, what else? The way you talk
On
on the phone with the
Facebook.
customer, Facebook, yeah, your social media, anything, even like look at Scott's outfit, like his hat and his shirt, like everything we do, we make sure is consistent with the brand, and it really creates an image in the eyes of a customer that is out like long-standing and allows the customer to really recognize who you are in every single one of these spots. In a saturated market where you kind of separate yourself from the bunch is what we did was we kind of came up with a bright, flashy color. We came up with a cool mascot, a cool name that's easy to remember, kind of rolls off the tongue, and it's something that is different than what everybody else is doing. I I don't say that you necessarily need to rebrand to have to do that. Scott was in a bit of a different situation or scenario here, but in order to stand out, like making sure that you're consistent across all of your platforms is definitely key because I see people with mismatched colors. Their trucks look all different. Like it really makes you look like you don't know what you're doing when you're not put together uh, on all of your fronts.
I'll add to that by saying, even if you're not doing a full rebrand, keeping the name, keeping who you are as a company, there's nothing wrong with that. That's good. But to if you're saying you're struggling to gain brand awareness and whatnot in your market, even if you keep your name, do a bunch of research. I did a ton of research in markets that I'm in and markets I'm wanting to go to, right? So what I researched was all the best companies in the area. I looked at their color scheme. I looked at the mascot, their logo. I literally tried to do anything they didn't do. So in all the markets that we are in currently, there was nobody that was orange and blue. There really is nobody in those markets that even was dominantly orange. So we went with I mean it's like fluorescent orange almost. But it looks good. Like our truck wraps turned out really easy on the eye. It's not like it's I mean good. I mean the hats like it's not so like blinding that no one wants to look at it. But you got to do the market research, understand what your competitors are doing, and then do something completely different. Go with a we were going to do purple and yellow. That was the original plan was purple and yellow. And because we're in Ohio and that's LSU colors, it just probably wasn't going to work out real good. But um, that was a thought we were because there was nobody that was doing it, and it's so vibrant, so wild, you wouldn't miss it. Like you would not miss a wrapped purple and yellow truck driving down the road. So that's where I would start. But then go to what Jonas said. You can't just do the one truck in purple and yellow and the rest of them stay white with blue lettering. You got to do it all. Everybody's got to match. Everybody's got to be in the same boat, and then every form of marketing you do has to match it.
Another thing, Scott and I have kind of gone back and forth about this with the oversaturation in the paid ad market. There's a lot of opportunity for you to look at organic ways to grow, whether it's sponsoring your youth football, baseball, softball leagues, Founders Day parades, any sort of those um, community action type of opportunities, putting your name on a shopping cart at your local grocery, little things like that. It's another point where you can get in touch with your audience and show your face in your community. That's really going to set you apart in this saturated market. Everybody thinks the solution is throw as much money as you possibly can into Facebook or Google ads. In reality, like there's cheaper ways to do that and more efficient ways to do that at a smaller scale, especially if you're a local business.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people's mindset in terms of the consumer's point of view is local is better than corporate.
Yeah. Yeah. And to piggyback on that, I mean, everyone, that might sound like outdated advice, and it might have been like 5 years ago, or maybe even 3 or 4 years ago. But the balance has shifted where it's so saturated online now that these physical mediums for advertising are now all the prices on those have all dropped because everyone went to digital. And then also there's still work, like being on the shopping cart of the grocery store, or the billboard, or the little league sponsorship. All these things, like, they still work. They're still advertising. They're still getting your brand in front of people. But it's just about Gary Vee is like his Gary Vee, but like day trading attention. He likes to talk about that. And that's what you got to look at, is like, where can I get the attention for the cheapest? And like sometimes it's online, but like right now it's really hard to get that with paid ads online right now. It's just so saturated everywhere. Whereas like that now it's like the prices have all dropped on physical advertising. So maybe that's the route to go. So it's kind of like being aware of those things and not just following the trends, because everybody wants an easy answer of like, oh, do this. But it's not always that simple. Like right now, I think absolutely, Jonah, you're right. But if someone watches this in 2 years from now, they're going back and looking at recordings and watching this. It might not be true in 2 years. There might be a new social media platform that's just like very affordable to advertise on, and they need to be going there. So
Well, marketing is very fluid. Like it's always
Very fluid.
changing. People's mindsets and perception of the space, especially for contractors, is constantly changing. Like you
yeah,
got to build your own credibility uh, in the community on your own by providing quality service. I know people in the construction space that are going out of their way to make sure that their customers are satisfied and leaving with that handshake, like, hey, like you guys did a good job. Like that goes a long way now. Like people are like like you said, this kind of sounds like an outdated piece of advice, but like I really see things kind of going back to how things were in 2012, 2014. And there's a lot of opportunity for people to grow their brand by just being a good contractor and providing quality service.
yeah. And there's so much noise, and there's so much noise online now that a lot of people are just shit, like they're turning off of social media. Like there's a whole group of the population that just doesn't pay attention to social media because they're just burnt out on it. And so it's like, yeah, it's so fluid. You're exactly right with that, I think. And that's like, there's a right now answer, today answer, and then there's like a long-term answer. The long-term answer is like you gotta go with those trends. You gotta be able to see where things are at the given moment. So the other thing I was gonna say, that is almost always valuable. Now, where you do this may change, but the concept is almost always valuable, or a lot longer lasting in the marketing space, and that is answering people's questions. And everyone talks about, write blog posts, or do this or do that. And it might not always be a blog post. It might not always be a video. It might not always be, a Facebook post or whatever it is. So the channel is going to change. But if you answer the people's questions in your community, not just about roofing, but if you can also be answering questions through some medium or another about, like, best restaurants in town, the it's local sports news. Like there is, if you can find anything that's going to draw attention at the end of the day that you can be associated with and add value to the community for free, essentially. And then that attracts attention to you, and then you can piggyback on that by being associated with it to build your local brand. Anything that is a giving of free value up front is going to attract attention.